We continue to delve into the nature of emptiness, but there are several questions that yet remain unanswered. One of them is, what is it that's present when stillness and movement meet? And what is your relationship with life now? Now, when we find ourselves in that perpetual state of presence, which can be described as stillness, we could recouch that second question to be, what is your relationship with movement now? Because all of life is movement. And over these last days, we've been looking at the word faith. Now, faith, because faith is a continuum, is part of that movement. So again, we're asking the question, what is our relationship with movement? And explicitly, what we could define as faith for us. On Tuesday there was a little anecdote told of one of those experiences that was had with Divine Mother, and there are actually several that come to mind. And one was about this middle-aged couple who lived on the big island of Hawaii but came over to sit in Divine Mother's presence from time to time. And they would always sit at the back of the room, and they never interacted with people or socialized in any way. But as was Divine Mother's wont, one day she pointed to the man and she said, "You have something to say." And he blurted out, "Oh, we're getting old now, and we don't have any children, and we don't have any social security. Who's going to look after us when we get old?" And Divine Mother just pointed at them and she said, "You have no faith and trust in God." Well, the next time they came, it was like a transformation, because they were talking to people, they sat up the front, they had totally changed. They were outgoing and friendly and warm. And the second anecdote was also about a man who lived on the big island of Hawaii and was one of Divine Mother's followers. And one day he rang up Divine Mother in very great distress, because he was a naturopath practicing on the big island, and he told Divine Mother that it had been discovered that he'd been working without a license. His license had expired for some number of years, and that the state examinations for naturopathy were going to be held in Oahu in a few days' time. So Divine Mother just said to him, "Make your arrangements to attend the examination and have faith." But he said, I haven't studied, I haven't studied the books, I haven't looked at... "Have faith," said Divine Mother. Well, the man came over and he sat the examination and he passed by 1 point. 1 point. Then there's a simple story about an innkeeper. He was of the Jewish faith, and he wasn't particularly pious, he wasn't very learned, but he was a follower of the Bal Shem Tov, or Rabbi Israel, as he was known originally. And Rabbi Israel used to come to this man's inn quite frequently, because it was a place of great ambience. And the man's name was Simha, and Simha, translated, means joy. But he wasn't a joyous man in the way we would translate joy. Normally, he was just a very contented man. He was always very present and attentive to whatever it was that he was doing, whether it be taking care of those who came to visit his inn, or tending his vegetable garden, or taking care of his animals, or caring for his wife and 8 children. But there was an occasion when Rabbi Israel came to visit Simha in his inn, and during the course of the evening conversation, Rabbi Israel asked Simha, "How much rent do you pay for your inn?" And Simha said, "Oh, I pay 1,000 gold coins per year." "Oh," said Rabbi Israel, "well, when do you pay this sum?" And Simha said, "Well, it's due in 5 days' time." And the squire is very, very, very strict about having payments made exactly at the right time, on the right date. He said, in fact, one of my friends who owns a store that's rented from the squire is in dungeon at this moment because he was not able to pay his rent on the day that it was due. "Oh," said Rabbi Israel, "well, do you have money to pay your rent?" And Simha said, "I have not a penny. Times have been very bad. There are bandits in the pathways leading to our village, and so people haven't been coming. And the local people don't come often because times are very hard. I don't have a penny." "So how are you going to pay?" said Rabbi Israel. He said, "I have faith." And in the days that followed, there was not one shred of witnessing by Rabbi Israel of there being any stress. In Simha, he just went about his business with intensity, taking care of his guests, looking after the animals, taking care of his family, making sure that Rabbi Israel and those who accompanied him were well taken care of. And the day before the money was due, a representative of the squire came to the inn and said to Simha, "Your money is due tomorrow, and the dungeon is ready if you don't have money to pay." No, said Simha, "the money will be here on time. It's not due until midday tomorrow." So the very next day, 8 o'clock in the morning, the same messenger came to Simha. "I've got the keys of the dungeon ready." "Don't worry," said Simha, and he went about his business. He went to the dungeon to feed his friend who had been incarcerated because he couldn't pay. He looked after his people at the inn. 1 hour before midday arrived, a wagon drew up outside the inn, and 2 rather rich-looking merchants got out of the wagon and came over to Simha. He said, "Oh, welcome, are you going to come and stay with us?" And the merchant said, Yes, but we want your help. We're in negotiations with the squire. We've got a great tract of land, of forest, that we're negotiating with the squire to take over, and we'll give you a substantial amount of money if you'll assist us in dealing with him." "Oh," said Simha, "I'll be visiting the squire in an hour, but first would you please pay me 1,000 gold coins up front?" So the merchants very happily handed over the 1,000 gold coins, and they went off to the squire's residence. And the squire had just come back from a very successful hunt, so he was in a good mood. And without more ado, he granted the negotiations with the 2 merchants and thanked Simha very much for the prompt payment of his rent. So we look at this word faith, and what it means to us in this place here, now, where we find ourselves, present, attentive, still, and the movement of life going on at its three levels, the nitty-gritty of cause and effect, that vast occult realm, and that level of interrelatedness and oneness, undifferentiated energy as it's called, all coming together in this presence. So what for you is this meaning of faith? Divine Mother didn't have a religion. She didn't advocate a God. And yet she could say to this couple, you don't have faith and trust in God, and immediately the consciousness was changed. And the man with his exam, have faith. Or this story of faith. What does it mean for us now? Faith. Not having, yes?
Custard potentiality.
Yes, potentiality. What is that?
Is that what we are and what we bring to what we become?
Okay. All right. Yes. Whatever it is that comes out. Faith. Faith.
Totality.
Again, it has to be asked, what is that totality?
For me, it's being in a state of emptiness, in a state of non-doing.
That's right.
Till the right action oozes out of me.
That's right, absolutely. So we bring our circle around, isn't it? So we can then begin to understand the nature of emptiness, isn't it? But we can ask, what is it that is present every moment of our life now? Could that be faith, or do we have to give it some other word like potentiality or totality?
For me, it's trust that everything is perfect.
Grace. Grace. Yes, grace. Grace is present at every moment. But have a look at this word, faith. When there has no object to which it can be directed to, and we find it synonymous with grace. Have a look at it in yourself and see what chemistry arises out of it. A chemistry arising out of this. What is it that brought this joy to Simha? To go about your daily business, doing your chores, taking care of things, with this present all the time. If we bring them together, we can perhaps find a word for it within ourselves. faith, grace. What happens when we put them in a pot and stir them up together? Okay, right. Something that theirs being projected into life, isn't it? Into everything. Everyone that comes along is partaking of that, isn't it? It's a chemistry in us that can be given. It's there, isn't it? Thank you.